So indie games are a big passion of mine, and one of the things I love the most about them is that you can play them with multiple controllers and still have a very nice experience with either one, and really depending on your preference. But there's some games that I actually prefer to play on an arcade stick because it gives me that old school arcade feel to them. A lot of them being, Metroidvanias or platformers. And here are 10 indie games that I really enjoy playing on my 8BitDo arcade stick. First off, we have Downwell, and as you can see, it's basically perfect for an arcade stick. It's really simple. It's just a couple of buttons that you're really pressing and you're just scrolling sideways. It's just the perfect layout for an arcade stick. Another one would be Dead Cells, which is an indie darling, and most people have played this game before, but I highly recommend playing it on an arcade stick because the experience you get is quite different. It's a little bit more difficult in my opinion with the arcade stick, but I think that gives it a nice extra level of enjoyment if you've already played this game before. Another one would be Peglin. Peglin is very, very simple. You're really just kind of moving the cursor and selecting where you're going to shoot the ball, which is perfect for an arcade stick. You don't have to hold a controller. You don't have to move your fingers in any specific way on a keyboard or even using a mouse. It's just really using the arcade stick, and I think it's just one of the simplest ones to use on this 8BitDo, and it's very comfortable, and it's just kind of a lounging around kind of game too. Tunic is another fun one to play on an arcade stick. This one you do use a lot more buttons, you use a lot more movement, but it gives it that extra little bit of difficulty as well. And Tunic is already a pretty decent difficult game, but with an arcade stick, specifically the 8BitDo, it feels a lot more comfortable. It feels a lot more freeing in a weird way, and I just really enjoyed playing it on this. Another game that requires really no explanation would be Vampire Survivors, a game that I've spoken about many times on this channel, and the fact that you can just literally scroll around with just the stick part of the arcade or the joystick. It's just super simple and really just selecting the power-ups, but yeah, it just feels like a modern day Pac-Man in a way with the arcade stick. Have a Nice Death is another game that is similar to Dead Cells, where this game is not too difficult in general, but with the arcade stick I feel like it adds a little bit of extra difficulty because you have to get used to it. It added something more to the gameplay that I didn't get with the initial playthrough that I had of this game, so I definitely enjoyed it with the arcade stick. The next game is another indie darling, Celeste, which also does not require too much of an explanation. It's really just platforming and precision timing on the buttons, but it's so fun to just smash the button and get that extra boost. Celeste, definitely recommend playing it on this arcade stick. And Hollow Knight, another one that I don't think I need to explain too much. It's very similar to Dead Cells and Have a Nice Death, and that it adds an extra bit of flair to it when you're playing it. And a lot of you might have already played this game before, but give it a try with the arcade stick. It adds a little bit of extra oomph to the gameplay, and you'll feel like it's a kind of a new game, to be honest. Now the next two games are a little bit weird, but if you're like me and you like yourself some cheapo games that are free, these two games are on Steam for free. The first one is Helltaker. It's a very simplistic puzzle game that requires certain movements that you do. If you go over the movements without reaching your goal, you lose. You can reset the map as well, or the level, but it really just requires the analog stick, and it's perfect for an arcade setting. And I think and for a free game, it's actually pretty fun, and I'd highly recommend you trying it out. The next game is first of all, it was a little hard to get footage for, but for some reason I couldn't get the full screen on it. But Rolling Bird is a free game that's basically just a very simplistic shooter. You're just kind of really moving sideways, you're jumping, you're shooting the gun, but it's very simplistic, but for a free game I think it's pretty fun to just kind of kill an hour or two for, and definitely very arcade stick friendly. So those are 10 indie games that I like playing on an arcade stick, specifically my 8BitDo. I just like that the controller gives the games a kind of a new dimension feel to it. And I grew up playing arcade games, so I love arcades. And indie games in a way feel like modern day arcade games, and so yeah, a lot of them are just played perfectly on this kind of controller. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what other games you feel play well on an arcade stick, and I'll definitely try them out. And as always, thank you guys for watching.